Kaylin here, Full Purpose in Heart. In today's video, I'm going to jump into a unit study that I did with our co-op for ancient civilizations. I got a lot of stuff to say, and so we're just going to pop right over into it. If you're interested in seeing what this resource is, and if it's something that you want to use with your family, then let's go ahead and get started. All right, I have noticed that the older my child gets, we're in 6th grade now, the harder it is to find unit studies or resources or manipulatives that are kind of ready-made or mostly ready to go if I wanted to launch into a unit study with him. I'm finding more and more often I have to make everything myself, which is fine, but it was super nice when I decided to teach our co-op group Ancient Civilizations that I found this STEM challenge resource on Teachers Pay Teachers, and it just kind of guided me through what I wanted to do for that particular class. So, number one, if you are trying to teach a small group of kids, whether it's a co-op or a neighborhood group or whatever it is, this is a great resource to grab because it's a very introductory presentation of ancient civilizations. It's got a lot to cover, but if you're doing it for your immediate family, just for your own class, your own kids, then I would recommend you may want to find another resource or, have a base curriculum that you can teach more of each of these groups. I think that that's how this curriculum is intended to be used, is that you as the teacher are going to actually teach about that civilization, and then you can use these as a stem in the end to kind of as a culmination for whatever region that it is that you're studying. So, number one, this resource is not great if you're wanting to do an in-depth study of different regions. If you are looking for an introduction, something fun, something quick, like I did for my co-op, I knew that I didn't want to teach them a whole bunch of content. I didn't have time to teach them a whole bunch of content for one particular region. I just gave them a sprinkling of a whole bunch of regions. This resource was great. It had a little bit of information, and then it had a great activity that I could give them that took most of the class time. So that is review number one. What you get when you go ahead and purchase this is, I think that there are 10 activities or 10 STEM projects that you can go ahead and do with your class. I would recommend you're going to want to do it with probably 10 kids, maybe 12. If you have a large public school classroom, it could be more challenging because you do have to bring in all of the supplies. And I don't know about you, but in my public school classroom, I had to fund all of the supplies that I brought for projects and things like that for my class. So it could get expensive in that sense. And kind of on the flip side, if you have just your own kiddos that you're teaching and you've got, I have 3, it could be a little bit, it's not very cost effective in that sense because you're buying the whole pack of whatever and you only need to use a few of them. So that being said, it is a great opportunity to be able to teach a small group of kids. I did it for kids ages 9 through 11 and it worked out fantastic. We had a great time. When you get it, I think that's where I started. When you go ahead and get it, it's gonna have one page that's gonna just be a bunch of text, like a passage that you can read as a background for the kids. I didn't use that personally. I just grabbed a history book that had kind of an overview of a bunch of different regions. And we looked through that. I think it was like Ancient Civilizations Encyclopedia. I got it from the library and I've since returned it. But you can find it for the region specific that you're looking for, or you can just use what comes in the downloadable file. Then you don't have to worry about looking for anything. What I printed for my kids is that for each region that we were going for, I printed the actual STEM challenge. So it talks about, it gives the kids and you as the instructor what it is that the challenge is and what kind of ramifications or what you're going to try to meet there. And then it tells you what materials you need. You can put the kids into groups and then they predict and they brainstorm what they want their project to look like. And then on the second page here, I have the brainstorming page. None of them filled it out, for the record. As a completely unrelated side note, I'm showing you my son's and it's almost blank completely through because the kids didn't write anything. So you may need to encourage writing if that's what you want to do. But anyway, it has this blank space where the kids can write. or draw what their ideas are and any notes that they want to make. So those are the pages that you have, and it tells you all of the materials that you need. So prior to actually starting the course, I purchased all of my materials, and it was a little bit expensive because I wanted to buy specifically brown paper when we made these baskets for the Gatherers Challenge. So that was kind of challenging. It says for 80 strips of paper. My kids, all of them, didn't use even close to 80 per piece. So I did cut them so they were 1.5 inches wide, and none of them used 80. So I have a whole bunch of brown paper left over. Anyway, so that was the one that I did for the Gathering Challenge. It was really good. The next one that we did, I'm just going to kind of show you our examples here. This is the cuneiform code that we did, and I actually got air dry little clay packets, and they were like in individual packets that I purchased from Amazon. I think I actually have one I could have shown you, but anyway, and they were like terracotta in color. So my kids, I say my kids because it was the whole class, but anyway, I had them write out their alphabet or what their code translation would be, and then they had their actual clay. We like pressed it down so it was kind of like a tablet, and then I let them write their cuneiform code. All of them really enjoyed this one. We used pencils to kind of carve into the clay, and then it was air dry clay, so then it just dried up for them. So anyway, that was a really fun, very effective activity, and it didn't take, we had 50-minute classes, so you kind of know. We were able to do all of these in 50 minutes. This one was the most popular one. This is a mummified apples one that we did. And again, I got a bunch of air dry clay. This time I got it in white, and I had the students actually kind of mold out what they wanted their canopic jar figure to be. At the beginning of class, I talked about what the Egyptian canopic jars were and what figures they were. But then when they went to make their own, I let them do whatever it is, whatever they wanted. It was very open-ended. And then we did the science experiment. So it was really popular. The kids loved it. I ended up getting just plastic cups that had lids on them. That worked out great. They were 4-ounce cups. They asked for cans with lids, like mini Pringles jars. And I was like, I am not spending that much money to get everybody a Pringles jar. So I just got plastic cups. That way they could see through it as well as the apple began to decompose, I guess you could say, rot. Anyway, so that worked really good. And then I did have the paint as well, so the kids could paint their little figurines that they made. And then as far as the actual project went, I gave them salt, baking soda, vinegar, and then the fourth one was like their whatever. I can't think of the name, but anyway, the one that they didn't put anything on, the control group, that's what it was, the control. Thank you. I'm sure you were shouting it at me. So I gave them 4, and this one, it also includes sugar, but I didn't do that one. So they had salt, baking soda, vinegar, and then a control. And then I had them write out on here what each of their mixtures were. Now, the instructions tell them that they have to actually measure out, and so that they know exactly what each of the jars had. But I just had the kids like dip the apple into the salt and dip the apple into the vinegar so that it was like soaked, and then they put it in there. Anyway, and then they were able to go through and observe it over the next 4 days to see which apple was mummified best. So this was a wildly popular activity. And I think that, again, we had 50-minute classes. I think they were able to do it in about 30 or 40 minutes because I talked to them for the first 10 minutes and we got it all set up. In this particular one, I think that they recommend like a whole day or something. I don't know, but we did it in 50 minutes. So I'm here to tell you, you can do it in a shorter amount of time. Okay, the next one that we did was the Chariot Challenge. The kids enjoyed this, although I didn't think it was as successful. It was a bit of a struggle to make the chariots actually move. White glue takes a very long time to dry, so we were kind of trying to hold the popsicle sticks together to dry. It wasn't as successful. So if you had tape to like tape the pieces together, that might be better than what we did with glue, but it would also, I don't know, go faster. And I was trying to fill up all 50 minutes. So that was kind of challenging. But essentially what you're doing is you're making a Greek chariot and you want the wheels to turn. They recommend that you use like the lid to like a pop bottle or something, plastic lid. But I went to the store and just got buttons. I got like a large button. It was just a bag that had some large buttons in it. So that's what I used. And then wood skewers, a small cup. I used styrofoam cups, and the kids were able to like cut it and rip it and manipulate the cup the way they wanted it to shape the bucket for their chariot. So I liked that as opposed to a plastic cup. We didn't use construction paper. I had it out, but nobody used any. Glue, scissors, and then popsicle sticks was really popular too. So anyway, it wasn't as successful, but we did talk about kind of the history of the chariot, how it started with military, and then it kind of moved forward so that the wealthy were using it, blah, blah, blah. Okay, this is the next one that we did. I was surprised how much the kids liked this, but it was a very wet challenge. So we did this inside our classroom, which is a dance studio. So make sure you bring towels, or I actually had like my puppy's pee pads because we were training our puppy at the time. So I just happened to have them. But anyway, we made the Roman aqueducts, however you choose to say it. And it was an interesting STEM. Let's just say that. I don't think any of them were successful. They all leaked a lot. We used a lot of tin foil, a lot of tape. And they wanted to use a lot of cups, which was surprising because I was telling them you need to have the water go to 3 different areas and then dump into the 3 different cups / reservoirs. But that's they just kind of did their own thing. So anyway, it was a popular activity, and I would, the kids liked it, but it was very messy. It was kind of crazy. I also let them work in teams, and so that was more fun for them. They got to work together. Okay, the last one that I did was the archaeological toolkit. I think that in the set, this is like one of the first ones. I put it at the end because I wanted to teach my students, the kids, whatever, about how we need to preserve history and how do we preserve history? What are some jobs that you can have as a historian? Which was a funny conversation because I myself got a degree in history, and then only later was I like, I think I need to make my degree history teaching because what else? I'm not going to like go be an archaeologist. But anyway, so the last one is this, the kids need to make 3 tools, and then you have a bucket that has a bunch of sand or dirt in it, and they have to use their tools to uncover this artifact that you have buried in the sand and or dirt. Now, unfortunately, we had a shorter class this day, so I didn't have a lot of time, and I didn't prepare the end of the activity, the fun part, which is to like use your tool to try to uncover the artifact. And I think that would have been the best part. So that was really, my fault. It was kind of the shortest on my end. Don't skip that part like I did because it was fun. But anyway, the kids all made their stuff. You use things like popsicle sticks, pipe cleaners, toothpicks, washi tape, glue. And then I didn't give them any cups. I probably could have, but I didn't. So anyway, and then here at the back, so when I made the book for the kids, I had this orange piece at the back. I chose orange because it matched the front. Anyway, I took a picture of everything that they did and put it in their books for them so that they could see it. So you can kind of see like this is their, whatever it was, cuneiform code, terracotta colored thing. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. Oh, and I didn't put any of the other ones on the back of his. He had some more pictures, but I didn't put them on the back. So anyway, it was a really good resource. It was a little bit spendy. So if you don't have a group of people to do it with, again, it could be a little bit expensive by the time you buy the curriculum and you buy all the resources. If you're doing it just for your own family. The great thing about Teachers Pay Teachers that I love is that sometimes I just don't have the time, energy, or creativity to build out these STEM projects myself, or, book studies or whatever units that it is that we're doing. So it's nice to be able to support another mama, another teacher, whether she's a public school teacher or a homeschooler or whatever. I love supporting them, and then showing them, whatever, using what they have so that I don't have to make my brain think that hard. So anyway, if you're interested in this product, or hopefully you at least got some ideas of your own, if you don't want to actually purchase the product, but you want to do some ancient civilization STEM projects, it gave you some ideas. It turned out to be kind of a fun unit for us. So again, I'll try to make a playlist of all of my all of my co-op units that I do over the course of the next years to come. And then I think I'm also going to do a video of all my teacher pay teacher favorites, things that I've purchased from mamas on the internet, so that I can share those resources with you. So anyway, hopefully you found this a helpful video as you go forward in your history teaching with your class, your kids, whoever it is that you're teaching, and we'll catch you in the next video.